welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 2, episode 48. Alrighty then. So, now that we have completed all of the special events, it is now time for us to move on to our third and final championship event in the game. And that is, of course, the Gran Turismo World League. And of course, in order for me to do that, I will need to purchase myself a new car. And I've already decided on which car I want to use, as I'm going to head down to South City, head over to Ford, and also head over to new special models, and go with this. And to anyone asking which car I'm going for, it's not the GT40, but it is this one, the Celine SR Widebody, and as of which I do have more than enough to officially purchase this car. And well, the reason why I was wanting to use this car is officially because, well, it reminds me of pretty much the 4th gen Mustang, and also because furthermore this is officially the only Celine in this game. Even though technically overall it is basically the Mustang Cobra. So I am going to purchase this car, and from the million and pretty much just under 94 grand I had previously, that is now shot down massively. And just for confirmation purposes, okay, we do have the tyres we want. As we are now going to head over here and head over to the Gran Turismo League in my Celine SR Widebody, and we are going to do the Gran Turismo World League, which is officially the only World Championship event in this game. So 25 grand if we can win a race, also 150 grand if we can win the championship overall. 5 races, as we are going to Try the Mountain, Laguna Seca, Apricot Hill, Rome and Midfield in that order for the finale. And so, as I have worked this out mathematically, if all goes well, then the maximum amount of dosh I can win from this event is precisely 275,000. If I can get a clean sweep and also win the championship, essentially. And hopefully I will. And of course, there is no other way for me to officially win a championship other than switching over to the Grippy Boys. And yep, analog mode is still on, and let's head to race number 1 and see if I can manage to get at least second. So yeah, also furthermore, I've discovered the starts in this championship are officially grid starts. And shifting up into 3rd, as already with the Grippy Boys, I'm off to a relatively reasonable start from the back of the grid. And already at the start, I am immediately up into 2nd position after only 3 corners. As we have an Alpha 155 in this event, along with a DodgeViperGTS-R, a GT40, an Audi TT LM edition, and I think the other car we have in this event is a Toyota GT1. As I am already up into 2nd position and immediately taking the lead right before the first hairpin. As I'm estimating, the fight is mainly going to be between the GT1 and the GT40, essentially, for who will take second, but Meanwhile, for me, I am up into the lead with my grippy boys, and also for a good purpose too, because without these grippy boys I probably wouldn't be able to win this race. And also because, coincidentally, I am wanting to make this one look like a clean sweep. And also 5 laps for each of these circuits in this championship, and this is officially the final event I will be doing before I move on to the arcade mode disc, and then from there, of course, I'll be doing the endurance events, and then after that I'll basically just be doing the one-make races, which effectively consume around about 40% of this game, and they will probably take me at least 2 months, maybe 3, in order for me to, complete all of them, as I'm already opening up an interval to these AI. And already, it looks like at the moment I'm currently extending my advantage, mainly because grip is super OP in this game. Also super overrated as well. And well, because I want to see if I can make this event a clean sweep like it has been for the previous 2 events I did, and hopefully at the very least I can be given some form of success. Quite surprisingly, I think I've actually made a good choice here for Triumph Mountain. At least for this championship anyways. And shifting down of course into second so I don't receive the oversteer. Also so I do not put myself in a crash, which could have easily happened if I did not have my left finger on the L2 at the time of when I thought for sure I was going to go straight into the wall, but fortunately for me at least, that is not the case. So, heading through the 4th and final hairpin turn here at Trial Mountain, to officially starting our 5th and final lap here at Race 1 of the Gran Turismo World League. And it now of course looks like from here it will probably be a clean sweep, or at least a sweep in Race 1. Almost losing the rear end once again, but managing to keep it under control by just easing off the throttle and just keeping everything more or less the way it should be, and not officially by process of elimination. And I think we have a three-way fight for second at the moment. And as for who was in 5th and 6th, I would say the 6th place car is probably the TT, and the 5th place car probably the 155. But meanwhile for me, it is victory in race number 1. As I also set the fastest lap on the final lap. And in the end, it was the Viper that took second, ahead of the Toyota GT1 who was third. Then in fourth, it was the GT40, followed by correction the Audi TT that was in fifth, and at the back it was the Alfa Romeo 155, which is the British Touring Car livery and not the DTM livery, to anyone wondering. So 8 points to me, 6 to the Viper, 4 points to the GT40, 3 points to the GT1, 2 points to the Audi, and 1 point to the Alfa. And that is only after one event. One event down, 4 to go. As I am now a quarter of 100 grand richer. And so, there we go. One race down, 4 to go. As I just open up my bottle of water. And so, let us head to race number 2 at Laguna Seca. And where I will more or less do the same as I did at Triangle Mountain. Hoping to take the lead at least before the end of the second lap. But here we go, it is now time for race number 2. As my rough country is very hungry, or at least my needle is. And shifting up into third again because minimal wheel spin. And already off to more or less the same start that I was off to at Triangle Mountain, as I'm already past both the Alpha and the GT1, and the TT is currently ahead of the GT40, meanwhile up front it is currently the Viper. And oh bollocks! Blooded bollocks. As I got turned around there by the GT40, but fortunately it was only the first lap. I was more or less expecting that to happen sooner or later, because that's just the typical AI in this game. I was more or less expecting that to be the case, but anyways. It now means of course that essentially I have got to be the cat in this cat and mouse game basically. I am basically a cat chasing down his mice, as the Alpha is giving me no room whatsoever and just immediately fucking forcing me into the wall as I try to get past him on the inside. But doesn't matter, because that was only the first lap and already running wide, running very wide in fact in the Andretti curve, but managing to keep everything under control as we now head under the Firestone Bridge and catching up to these AI relatively quickly at the moment, and it looked as though for a brief moment there it was actually the TT that was in second there, as I now get past the GT1 once again and gonna try to pass the GT40 this time, where hopefully he will not spin me out, and oh my god, oh my fucking god, and everyone has just suddenly crashed on the exit of Corkscrew. But fortunately, for me at least, in spite of me literally being airborne through Corkscrew, I was somehow able to put myself in the position of officially taking the lead, and now that is where I currently stand in this event. And just doing a little short shifting just to be sure of knowing this car is still under my control, and fortunately on this occasion it is, as we are now on the third lap here at Laguna Seca, and I think it's probably the GT40 that's fallen back in this event, probably. Well, it's either the GT40 or it's probably the TT, but anyways. We once again have a three-way fight going on for second, as we also have a two-way fight going on for fifth. But meanwhile, for me at least, I'm just managing to hold my stations and just slowly but surely waltz away with the W, as I'm now starting my fourth and penultimate lap here at Laguna Seca. And it now looks like I am more or less doing the same things I have been doing for pretty much the previous two events I did, where I basically just took the lead and I slowly but surely extended the interval to these AI to pretty much a reasonable margin of victory, even though obviously it was probably not a comfortable margin of victory, but yeah, whatever. So heading down the hill now, as we now only have one lap to go. So on the main stretch now, and starting our fifth and final lap, as it's now suddenly become, I think, a four-way fight for second, as these AI are now very close once again. But meanwhile for me, I'm just slowly but surely extending my interval to these AI, and I'm not officially extending too much to these AI, because anything could still happen right in the blink of a fucking eye, and a lot of the time in motorsport it usually does. Well, not as common as it used to, but you know. Excuse me. It usually does tend to happen. But anyways, down the hill now for the fifth and final time on the exit of the corkscrew, as we are now heading through the final corners here at Laguna Seca. Across the line we go. It is 2 wins on the trot in the GT World League, as my fastest lap was officially just under 2/10 clear, or just under 3/10 clear I should say, and this time it was actually the Viper that fell back, as it was the GT1 who took second, the TT was third, GT40 in fourth, the Viper was fifth, and at the back it was the Alpha. So 8 points to me, 6 points to the GT1, 4 points to the TT, 3 to the GT40, 2 to the Viper, and obviously 1 to the Alpha. As I now have a 7-point margin over the Toyota, and the Viper at the moment has currently fallen to third. Meanwhile, the GT40 is still in the battle, as is the TT. But anyways, there we go. 2 races down and still 3 to go, as I win an additional 25 grand And of course, I'm going to save this replay for clickbait. And I still do not have enough. Damn. Well, certainly a good thing I usually manage to get my video thumbnails after the video has already been recorded, and obviously, yeah, that is a good thing. But anyways, 2 races down and still 3 to go, as we now head to Apricot Hill for race number 3. And I'm more or less going to do the same thing that I have been doing for pretty much every race so far. Just basically move my way up the order, and then as soon as I take the lead, just extend the interval and basically just wait until we finish to see what the final results are. Also, furthermore, I really do like those helicopter shots for the starting order intros. And the battle for second at the moment is very much on the cards at the moment, as the Alpha is forcing me very wide there, very wide indeed in fact. He almost caused me to spin, but I did manage to regain control, as the Viper is currently in second position, and it looks like the Alpha is currently holding on to third, but I'm fairly certain that the way his championship has been going, he will almost certainly be overtaken by the Rust, in my honest opinion. But for me at least, I'm going to be doing more or less the same things I have been doing for pretty much the past few races I've done, and this is also including the GT500 Championship as well. I basically just take the lead and then hope, of course, to hold on. And oh bollocks, I have run very wide on the exit of the first corner, and suddenly the Viper makes contact with me. The Viper GTS-R, of course, as I now have to fight my way back up into the leading spot as a result of that spin. But fortunately, for me at least, I only really fell back to second, and surprisingly at the moment it looks like his AI are actually keeping very close to one another, because surprisingly the 155 at the moment had actually not dropped back as far as I thought it was going to drop back. But again, this is only lap 2, so you know, I'm more or less expecting him to either stay in the fight or just basically drop out of the fight. But anyways, as I'm just accidentally clipping my headset with my nails, but starting the third lap now here at Apricot Hill, the third race of the championship, as of which it now officially looks like I will probably be on course for a clean sweep, but if I'm fortunate, then everything should hopefully go my way. Meanwhile, further back, I'm estimating it's going to be quite a tussle to see who will eventually get second place, because these results are far from decided overall. Trust me, they really are. Meanwhile, it looks like the Alpha is realistically dropping back to where I thought it was going to drop back to, because The Alpha 155 in this championship, clearly the slowest. And I would probably imagine it is going to be the perfect 5 points because, well, he's basically been last in every race. But up front, there is still me, and whoever is in second, I'm probably estimating it's either the Viper or the GT1, but as for fourth or fifth, I honestly don't know at the moment, but we'll just wait and see. Meanwhile, I'm just continuing to extend my interval to the leaders, as I clearly have the most dominant car in the field. In my Celine, not Ford, Celine, and I'm very much looking like, with my overpowered rookie boys, like I am very much on course to officially secure another clean sweep in this championship, because I have the power of grip. As I'm hearing the supercharger in the background there. Yeah, that is officially the sound of a supercharger in this game. Because obviously this is basically a racing homologation of the SVT Cobra. At least the rear of it is anyway, but yeah. So, under the Dunlop tyre bridge for the 5th and final time, heading through the hairpin once again, and now it looks as though I'm very much on course to securing yet another clean sweep. And across the start line I go, and it is 3 wins out of 3 for the Celine. And it was eventually the Viper that took second place in this event. The GT1 was third, then it was the GT40, followed by the TT, and at the back it was once again the Alpha. So the battle is relatively close for second, but I think up to this point it's probably going to be decided between the Viper GTS-R and the Toyota GT1, since they are mathematically in contention as to who will officially secure second place in the championship. Meanwhile, we are now 3 races down and we still have 2 to go. So the battle is still very much on for second place between the Viper and the GT1, but as for 4th position, that'll probably be interesting as well, because that's basically between the GT40 and the TT. But anyways, 3 races down and still 2 to go, as we now head of course to the full Road City course. As I'm just sipping my water to keep my voice alive, and yeah. Let's head to race number 4, where I will more or less dominate in similar fashion that I have been doing pretty much over the last 3 races, coincidentally. But yeah, I'm shifting up into 3rd gear because that is probably the best way I can avoid heavy wheel spin off the start. Even though I still receive wheel spin, obviously, shifting up into 3rd gear is essentially the one thing I can do to avoid wheel spin. getting a little loose there on the exit of the Coliseum corner, but at least managing to keep myself under control in third gear. Managing, of course, to compose myself, as it is currently the GT40 that is officially in second place ahead of the Viper, and as for the GT1, he is currently behind the TT. But meanwhile for me, it will more or less be a repeat of what I have been doing the past few races. Realistically, and yep, I had a feeling that was going to happen eventually. And surprisingly, the Alpha has actually gone ahead of the GT1, where I was more or less expecting myself to get loose and suddenly hit the wall, but fortunately for me at least, the Audi was able to help me get going again, as it is now the second lap. I've still got plenty of time to catch the leaders, at least in this race I've got plenty of time, but after this there's only one race to go, and mathematically if I can win this race, then well, I have mathematically clinched the championship. And well, overall, I would say I have mathematically clinched the championship from whoever the second place runner will be. And at the moment, this race is not going well. And I actually need to concentrate. Oh, bollocks. And so now, I'm just gonna tell myself to shut up and just drive. Oh Christ. Yep, okay, I'm starting to see the realistic side of this machine now. There's the gap at the moment to the GT40, currently 4.2 seconds, but I am closing in again. And I just touched the same wall again, but this car has definitely got some pace with the grippy boys on. It has definitely got some pace with the racing softs. And literally just having to literally run into the back of the GT1 just to get past him. And indeed I do. And indeed I do. As the GT40 is currently the leader ahead of the Viper. And I'm now officially up into second, as it has only taken me about, oh crap, as it has only taken me about nearly 3-4 laps to officially move myself up into the second position. And the gap to the GT40 is now only 3 tenths. And so we are now on the penultimate lap here at the Rome City Circuit, and more or less looking like I will probably make this a clean sweep, as I made contact with the GT40, but fortunately not spinning either of us around, although I almost spun myself around, but anyways. At the moment, of course, this is actually turning out to be a fun race, and now that I've taken the lead, I will probably hold on to it pretty much up to the end of this one. But anyways, so because this car obviously being rear-wheel drive, it is still very loose, very much like my Supra was in the GT500 Championship, and at the very least, for me of course, I am managing to keep this car under my control. I'm not managing to upset it too much. And now we are on the final lap here in Rome. As there is only this and one race to go, and that one race to go is at midfield. So, lap 5 of 5 here in Rome, as I am now officially passing by the Colosseum now for pretty much the 10th and final time, because that is presumably the second corner as to where the Colosseum is, but anyways. Through the final corners now, and now onto the main straightaway, and it is 4 wins in a row for the Celine. The victories just keep coming for the Celine. And in the end, I won that race by 3.6 seconds over the GT1. The GT40 was third, then was the Viper in fourth, followed by the TT, and at the back it was the 155 once again. So, I would say this has probably secured 4th place in the championship, and it has certainly secured the championship for me at least. As we now have an interesting battle going on for second position, as it is currently the GT1 who leads the Viper, and well, as for 4th position, I would say the GT40 has pretty much clinched that position over the TT. And as for the Alpha, I will not be surprised if he officially gets the perfect score of 5 points, because the Alpha has basically been last in every race up to this point, as I am now officially 100 grand richer. Onwards to our 5th and final race in the championship at Midfield Raceway. So, the championship is mathematically clinched, and all I need to do now is see if I can go for the perfect sweep, as I have been doing for pretty much the past few events, or in the previous 2 championships I should say, but yeah. I have no idea why I shifted down into second, but I just did. And oh, fuck. Yep, okay. Yep, okay, this is not going the way I wanted it to. I was more or less expecting this to happen in the final race, where I just immediately fuck up shit, and already I'm now 13 seconds down to the leader. And fortunately, since I have the grippy boys on, obviously, you will be able to see me pretty much slice away that margin, as from the previous sector time it said I was now only 11 seconds behind, so I am definitely closing in on the leaders, because that margin is reducing enormously at the present time, as I have now caught up to the Alpha 155, who is very much blocking my position, but at the very least he does not manage to make me crash this time like he did at Laguna Seca, but fortunately, for me at least, I'm now officially up into the fight regardless of me making that mistake. But anyways. Oh, there goes the Toyota. He is now up to third, even though it will be fourth, basically. As soon as I'm past him. Viper currently leads, then it is the Audi TT LM Edition in second. I'm now up to third, moving up to second. The GT1 is in fourth, and then it is the GT40 in fifth, and all the way at the back, it is basically our British Touring Car Championship friend, the Alpha 155. And yes, I did say BTCC, not DTM, because that is officially where the livery comes from on that car. It is absolutely 100% not DTM. As I now take the lead for the first time in this race, as of which I was more or less expecting that to happen, and now it looks as though from here I'm basically just going to dominate the rest of this race unless I spin again, which could very well happen considering this car is obviously from the USA. So, 3 laps are now complete at Midfield Raceway. And we now only have 2 laps to go. In this, the 5th and final race of the GT World League. And what is also the 3rd and final championship event in this game. I'm very much certainly the world champion in this event. I shall now very much dominate this race, because I have an overrated grippy boy, and highest speed I got on the previous lap, 300 kilometers an hour, or just under 301. But anyways, final lap of the Gran Turismo World League. I am very much confirmed as the world champion by mathematical default, and it looks like, as with the previous 2 championships, this will officially be yet another clean sweep, because I have an overpowered grippy boy, which has effectively clinched me this championship. So on the final straightaway now, and down the stretch now, and it is a clean sweep in the GT World League. Now we just need to wait for these AI to finish. And as far as I know, I think the GT1 has mathematically clinched second in this race, second in the championship, and so these are the final results. So the Viper GTS-R finished in second, then it was the GT40 in third, followed by the GT1 in fourth, then it was the TT in fifth, and at the back it was once again the Alpha. So it is a perfect 40 points for me, as it has been with the previous 2 championships, surprisingly. And also, furthermore, and oh, okay, it is the opposite way around actually. The Viper has clinched second in the GT World League, ahead of the GT1 by just 1 point. Then it was the GT40 in fourth, ahead of the Audi TT, and at the back with 5 points, the Alfa 155. The winning margin for me in the end, 17 points ahead of the Viper. GT1 was third, 18 points back. Then it was the GT40, 22 points back. The Audi TT LM Edition was 5th, 28 points back, and an unsurprising 35 points back was the Alfa 155. Those are your final point standings for the GT World League. Or at least, my GT World League. So, it is another clean sweep in a championship event, as of which I have pretty much sweeped up all 3 championships. And just for confirmation, yep, we do have a replay saved. Now we can move on to the trophy celebrations. 150 grand for winning, as I am now mathematically, 275 grand richer, and I also get a new car. Just hoping it's the car I want. But anyways, saving the game, and where I shall be hoping my prize car is a prototype, even though it probably won't be. But I'm hoping it is. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, the GT World League is now complete. And also, since we have won the championship, we also get the bonus items on the arcade mode disc as a result of this. And do they play the credits? I don't think they do, but I'll just wait and see. Do they play the credits in this version? Oh, no they don't. Okay. So, the Gran Turismo World League is now complete. As is the first half, pretty much, of simulation mode. So, do we receive one of the prototypes from this event? And oh, okay. Well, not exactly something I was expecting to get, but I'll still accept it anyway. So the car we win from the GT World League is a Nissan Calisonic Skyline. Not exactly one of the best cars I could win, obviously, but again, it is still a car I'll accept. Even though obviously many of you are probably saying to me I should have got one of the prototypes, and well, the truth is, it's not really my decision on what cars I do and don't get. It's more or less what the game decides to give me, but anyways. So, pretty much the first half of simulation mode is now complete. And so, the Gran Turismo World League is now complete, and we of course have now completed all 3 championships, and so next up I shall officially be moving on to the arcade mode disc. And then as soon as I've completed that, obviously that is when I shall return to simulation mode. So yeah, so arcade mode is coming up next, and on that basis, stay tuned for more GT2.